Actually, speaking of Hollywood and real, did you watch the Ghosts of Yotai gameplay trailer?
I watched some of it. I'm gonna say
Thought.
I watched about 5 or 10 minutes of it, around there.
Okay. So you got enough of a sense of what it's about.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Thoughts?
It looks like a video game. It looks
I mean, that's I guess that's an
good.
improvement for Sony, considering they've been so focused on making movie games, right?
Exactly. And this looks good. It looks like they're doing stuff that, you know, bumps up what they did in the first game. It, so far, yeah, I'm neither excited nor disappointed. Know what I
Yep.
mean? Like, I'm just,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, cool. I know that Sucker Punch is going to deliver Sucker Punch, right?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. OG Sly Cooper. I know they'll do a solid game. I don't think they'll take too many big risks with the title. It just seems like they're gonna just give us more to
Reiterate enough.
play with.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think that's all it needs to really be.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, other than that, I don't know. I just, you know me, I'm just very, it, it was what it was.
Look, I think for yourself, I acknowledge that you're not necessarily the biggest fan of maybe the setting or this franchise. Like, have you played Ghost of Tsushima?
I did start playing on PC. I
Yep.
did missions with the other three side characters to start building up their stories.
Yep.
So I think there was one, the archer, and his student or pupil. I did
Yes.
that mission.
Yep.
And I think it wanted me to go north. I think the woman wanted me to meet her somewhere, something about her daughter. So I've explored
You've experienced
pretty
it.
much.
Like you've gotten
Yeah,
a taste, enough of a taste of this is what the general loop of the game is like.
exactly.
Yeah.
100%. Um so yeah, I I enjoyed it for the time that I played.
Robin, it's okay. You can. It's an open space. You are free to express yourself as you wish. It's shit. I
Fine.
understand you don't like it.
It's not that it wasn't, it's not bad. It's just that it just is. You know? It is. It is.
It's so
That's what it is.
uninspiring and unoriginal. Why can't you
It's
just
not that
be?
it's unoriginal. I
Oh
I
my
think that
god,
Assassin's
samurai
Creed
again,
fatigue.
Japan. Oh god, whatever.
Hey, give me more games set in Japan. I love it. It's been a hot minute. So I don't mind exploring Japan. I mean, look how long it took Assassin's Creed to finally get to Japan. And when they first sent us to Japan, it was a 2D side scroller.
No, that was China.
Didn't they do China and Japan?
No, they did China, India, and Russia for the side scrollers.
Oh.
Yeah, I think it was India.
Oh.
I know it was
It was
definitely China
India.
and Russia, and yeah, that makes sense. I think the India one was first, then they did China, then Russia. If that was the order, or was it China, India, then
Mm.
Russia? Either way, it's unimportant. That series died long ago when they decided to finish whatever semblance of a story with the third game, and everything after that has just been it's another Call of Duty, but it's Assassin's Creed, which like it's fine. It works for them. It's interesting with bringing them up because I had a small short that I put up on YouTube comparing Metal Gear to Assassin's Creed, and how I personally find the mechanics in, sorry, not Metal Gear, Death Stranding. I find like the Death Stranding game, or even just Kojima games, from how he's structured the more recent open worlds,
Mm.
do a better job of playing, giving you the tools and having the AI to facilitate some of the push and pull with the tools that they give you. Now, someone posted online, which I appreciate the feedback, so thank you for anyone watching. That I didn't give enough context, and he's absolutely right. I didn't really have any of the context comparing it to anything in Assassin's Creed, and I was kind of then thinking a little bit more deeply about Assassin's Creed, or more specifically Shadows, recently,
Mm.
where I think there's a lot of depth in the mechanics, but I don't think Ubisoft spend the time to develop and play with those mechanics more, or give you interesting ways to have versatility with what mechanics are there. I don't think it has the same push and pull. It is, and I've heard that if you bump up the difficulty, it does give you the push and pull from a stealth aspect, with how the AI kind of is a lot more engaged in seeing you. But then you get to the combat, and the combat itself is samey. It's just, okay, you just dodge at the right time and you attack here or you block here. That's all it comes down to. And it just feels like it becomes less engaging from hour 5 to hour 30, where I don't think they have the same variety in enemy combat that, say, a FromSoft or even a lot of these more modern action games typically offer. I think they do an okay job with the stealth, but I don't think that they put enough emphasis on how the stealth is structured to make the stealth more interesting and have enemies that play with stealth opportunities in fun and interesting ways. They've kind of lost that luster a bit in favor of the action side, which you can see it's there, but I don't think that they, like, nothing feels fully fleshed out. Whereas with Metal Gear, you get into the stealth elements, and there's so many different ways that you can stealthily go through an area. But then the enemies play with the stealth, because sometimes you have enemies that have shields on them, like early enemies won't, later enemies do. So you can't just suddenly shoot them in the head. You might actually have to get up close, or use a different tactic, or use a different type of gun. I think there's a sludge gun, which I haven't unlocked yet. But then you've got various ways that you can attack the enemy, whether it is with a gun, whether it's with a rifle, whether it's with like a little silence pistol, whether it's a bowler gun, which is like it shoots a wrap around the enemies and kind of ties them up, which you still then have to go up to them and knock them out. Otherwise, they can get free. But then I think the bowler gun also reacts differently depending on where you shoot them. Like if you shoot them closer to the head, you can typically almost like KO them. Versus if you just shoot their body, you're just watching them kind of struggle with the wrap. And then when you get into the action set pieces, you see how the enemies kind of react. There's the push and pull. Sometimes they might throw the spears at you and do things from a distance. Sometimes they'll get behind turrets. Sometimes they're jumping in a car to do things to you. Attack you in various ways. So there's a little bit more nuance and variety in what you do. Plus, on top of that, the boss battles in this game are fucking sublime. I did the second boss battle in Death Stranding 2, and it's this massive like octopus type thing, like robot octopus. That's just you've got specific weak spots that you need to attack on its limbs that are all like moving. So you're trying to aim while it's attacking you and doing these weird attack animations and hit you and grab you and whatnot. And you're just like fending for your life in a very like there's nothing complex to, like, you don't have this, I think, the same level of verticality that you would have in an Elden Ring with combat. Because it's not like you've got some verticality, But so far, I haven't really been jumping or doing anything of that nature. It's just like run left and right. So it's arcadey, but in a really fun, engaging way.
Okay.
It's hard to compare those two games in general when they are very much catered for very different audiences. So I think even comparing anything to what Kojima does is always going to be difficult because I think he's just got a very different flair. They've always kind of stuck. And for the most part, I feel like Kojima hasn't changed much of his core design. It always seems still physically rooted in that Metal Gear feel.
Yeah.
So it's to compare it to something like Assassin's Creed, which yeah, it's been reiterated with certain things removed, certain things added, certain things put back in. And they have evolved, but I don't think that they've evolved the toolkits and they've evolved the tech, but they've never really gotten to the creating more interesting loops over the large scale game that they've made. So instead of it feeling like Hour One has very different nuances and little secrets or deviations from the original, like the starting mechanics to what you get in Hour 20 or 30. It's like they don't know how to. The game is so large that it's hard for them to, I guess, scale the loop and change the loop in interesting ways. Like this game, for instance, has a very specific loop. You're going out there, you're learning, you're fighting creatures, you're shooting, you're doing different things, but it's then giving you a different tool and then teaching you to use that tool against either a new enemy or the same series of enemies that you've already fought with a different combination. And so it like adds upon and changes how that loop is structured, so it doesn't feel like, okay, I'm going to another base encampment and I'm doing the exact same things. Yes, the enemy placements are different. Yes, where things are situated are different, but it's the same loop. I'm following the same structure, and there isn't really a change to how the enemies challenge you with the toolkits that are given to you. Like there's no variety in that sense.
Okay. Do you think that so are you saying that Death Stranding 2 doesn't give you a lot of tools to play with in this playground of the game, the open world they've given you?
No, I think it gives you plenty of tools. I think it gives you more than enough tools to experiment with different play styles. I think you still end up falling towards your own preferred play style, but it gives you enough ways and variety that if you, for a standard playthrough and standard difficulty, like I'm not someone who's necessarily going to be using smoke bombs, but I can see how they're useful if you're maybe bumping up the difficulty, or if you are having a hard time with certain enemies where you want to get them to lose visibility. And that's very evident in the fact that you've got snowstorms, sandstorms. So you don't not only have environmental mechanics that add a change to the gameplay, which again, Assassin's Creed recently has done that with the Four Seasons. How you play in winter is very different from how you play in summer or spring or autumn, where there's things in the environment that will change and will make the enemy either more aware or less aware of you, which is neat. But I think the way the AI is structured feels a little bit more interesting because you've got a variety of different enemy types that you're dealing with. You might be dealing with humans, or you might be dealing with the what are they called? The BTs, which are the ghost entities. And now the ghost entities have eyes, so they can actually see you. So that adds a whole nother layer of threat, which if they pull you in and they grab you, you're now dealing with a boss battle in wherever you happen to get kind of pulled to. So that is a mechanic
Oh,
even from the previous game. And now they've also added bots, like these robots, which I haven't actually fought yet because I avoided it when they first introduced it at the beginning. But that's supposedly like another mechanic, another kind of enemy type, on top of all the regular bosses that you then fight in the game. So there's a lot in there that makes it more, I think, interesting, at least for myself. But I
yeah.
know that, not many people are necessarily going to enjoy the general loop of the game, which is the delivery side of it, because it's literally it's like a fetch quest, but you're given the actual box and then you need to deliver it in its completeness. So you're not just it's not like, oh, I've got whatever the quest item that's been given to me and I need to go deliver it to this location. I also have to worry about the degradation of the actual quest item I'm delivering, because that impacts my final result, whether I complete the mission or not. And when the game, even in the original, when the game throws different types of packages, like it might be a standard package, it might be something fragile that you cannot have just on a bike or on a car, where any like little bits of movement is going to affect the fragility of the actual package. So you have to physically carry it by hand so that it's not going to get, damaged too heavily. Or
Yeah.
you will have items that are toxic. So the exterior casing damages quickly, which now releases a gas, which is affecting your health. So you get things like that. Or it'll be, you've got a bomb that you're essentially having to deliver, so knocking it too much is going to make it explode. And then you get the weather, which will affect the degradation of its exterior shield. So then you have to make sure that you're carrying repair sprays or have a little PCE unit, which allows you to build little shelters that will then repair the packages themselves. So there's a level of care that you're putting into the quest item you're delivering. For my sensibilities, the kind of loop that's structured there is interesting and engaging, on top of how it gives you new little upgrades or improvements to all the gear that you're getting, versus Assassin's Creed, that I think the concept is really cool, but I don't think that it stays interesting for my sensibilities over the course of the game. And I think another big part of that is the story as well. I don't feel like the story, for me, is probably as engaging. I made the wrong call to try and compare two very different gaming design structures that are obviously just going to be for very different audiences and very different people in mind. Like, I was unfairly comparing it. Which, I mean, it's amazing how easy it is to do with so many different games that do just feel similar in certain ways. But at the end of the
Yeah.
day, every developer is always going to structure their games in a very different manner based on what their interests and sensibilities are. We
Of
just
course.
know that Ubisoft typically is looking more at how can we continue to sell this product, as opposed to how do we make a work of art. And it feels like one has more of a soul, whereas one feels more commercialized in construction, which is hard for someone like myself to ignore. But I know a lot of people love the Assassin's Creed series in its entirety and enjoy the mechanics. They enjoy the length of the games. They enjoy what they offer. They're okay with how they're structured, because for them it's perfectly fine. It doesn't offer too much variety where they have to really think too hard about anything, and they get to enjoy a relatively decent story for their, and they, definitely get their money's worth. There's certainly hours upon hours of content.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's no different than people spending hours upon hours trying to collect every single Pokemon. It's not to my sensibility, and to compare it to anything else is just entirely wrong.
But it makes sense to compare something that follows that design. Because if you're gonna, you can compare open world games with open world game. Spider-Man has formulas of Assassin's Creed, so does Zelda. I mean, Assassin's Creed invented the towers to unlock the map.
Yep. The viewpoints.
Yeah, they brought that into everyday kind of gaming.
Yeah, like, and you're not wrong. I think if you're looking at the core sensibilities of one open world game to another, yes, you can. Like, I know you can easily compare a GTA to a Zelda if you wanted to, but at the same time, they are so fundamentally different. I acknowledge you can, but should you? I mean, it depends on how generic you want to make the conversation. But I think you do, at the end of the day, still have to look at the game itself and whether does its fundamental loop at the end of the day really work on its own merits. Like, I think comparing something like Saints Row to GTA is a closer comparison.
Oh, 100%.
But even then, you still kind of need to look at the game on its for itself and go, okay, yeah, if I compare this to another game that I had a very similar experience, yes, I can see where one may be better in certain aspects compared to another, but on its own merits, does the game still do a good job with its budget, its mechanics, its sound, its storytelling, its whatever it may be that the game is trying to elicit, or whatever it's trying to copy? Because we obviously know a lot of games tend to copy others, or draw inspiration, if we want to call it that way. It's more for myself, it's like a word of caution just to not think about the comparisons and understand the difference or what I'm trying to compare. Be a bit more specific with it, I guess.